Hey guys, I'm Drago and welcome to the first in the new series of videos I'll be doing. Phone! God damn it! That was gonna be perfect! Today I'll be taking you through 3 Artfight attacks that I've done of fairly simple characters. Just testing the waters, you know, dipping my toe in. If you don't already know, Artfight is a yearly event. It lasts for the whole month of July and it's where artists can take each other's characters and draw them as attacks. You basically go on one of 2 teams. This year it's vampires versus werewolves. Guess which one I'm on. And you draw attacks of people's characters to basically get points for your team. The more detailed your piece is, the more points you get. It's really fun. I do it every year. Highly recommend going and checking it out if you're not already on there. It's great for artists to practice their styles and try new techniques and draw characters you usually wouldn't. So yeah, in the description I have the link to my profile if you want to follow or attack me. Anyways, let's get on with the speed paints. This year I was struggling on what character I wanted to do first. But this person made it easier for me because they attacked me first. This character is called Butterfly and they're owned by Shaw the Sheep. I love the design of this character, so that's why I chose them. So first thing to say is I use Paint Tool Side 2 as my art program. And I set it up to have my canvases so that I can have my reference on one side and my main drawing canvas on the other. This is only something I've recently started doing and I don't know why I never did it before because it's so helpful. When sketching I always start off with the eyes. So for this character I basically did their basic eye shape and then from there I put in the eyebrows. And then once I did the second eye, I sort of manipulated it to make sure it's at the right angle. Sketching this character's head was really satisfying, I loved the curves of it. Now for the hand, oh my god. I hate hands, oh. I had to sort of crane my hand in a really weird way. And I was like straining my tendons doing it. It really hurt. I was on stream doing this and I was just going ow, 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 ow. But eventually I managed to get a picture of my own hand that I could use as a reference. Though now I realise that I had the thumb totally on the wrong way around. But you know what? You know what? It's done. It works. It's there. Whatever. When it came to the lines, I did my usual, keeping everything nice and smooth and a consistent size. When it came to line weight variation, that's when I tend to go back and add some more of that. Just gives your lines more depth, you know. On some areas, I use the line work layers, which basically is where I could just generate the line as I go, didn't have to draw it by hand. Very helpful for curves. Some of these curves have to be really smooth and I just cannot do that by hand. I'd then go in and just slightly erase the ends so you can get that nice, you know, fade out of it. From there I started colouring. I always just do some flat colour first, get all the colours that are needed in there, because then from there I can use clipping masks and preserve opacity to make my life a lot easier when it comes to shading. This character has some very simple colours, so it wasn't difficult to do. On my larger pieces of art I do some texturing, I use my watercolour brush, but I decided on this to keep it nice and simple. I did my usual style for the eyes. I basically put a few tones of the colour on, do a darker outline around the edge, do a sort of lighter squiggles around pupil, and then do those lines that come out. I don't know what these things are called, they're just lines if you ask me. And then mess around with the background for a bit before moving on to shading. I chose a sort of lighter blue colour, sort of a mid-tone between dark and light blue. From this I laid down my rough shading, putting it in areas where there would be shadows and blurring it out. I did the same for the rough highlights before moving on to more refined shading. Finally, I added some effects and then it was done. This next piece, I decided on a much more spooky look. This character is called iKiss. I think that's how you say it, I'm not sure. And they're owned by Koga Logo. It's one of the characters that I just found while randomly scrolling, and they immediately caught my eye, having intended. When doing this one, it honestly took me a while to figure out what I even wanted to do with the character. It gave me spooky vibes, I sort of wanted to try that. When sketching, I was deciding to sort of keep it as clean as possible because I thought, hey, I can use a sketch as sort of a line art. You know, like how it is in the reference. I drew this eye, it looked like a lemon, but it was an eye. As the character started to take shape, I was starting to like it less and less. I mean, I liked the pose, but I just felt like I wasn't going to be able to execute it very well. And my fears were realised later on. I decided to use my watercolour brush with a white to try sort of blend in some shapes. Otherwise it was just a flat black character. But I just could not get it to work. No matter what I did, it just looked awful. And I eventually ended up zooming out and realising, no, this is not going to work. So what did I do? I deleted it all. From there, I then forgot to start my recording again. But this time you can see I have a new reference. Yeah, I'm going for those analog horror eyes. It made me laugh because the image was literally called Starter Pack for Analog Horror. They're not wrong. Basically, I used my watercolour brush on a smooth circle and just blended out these tones until I had the eye how I wanted it. I went in and I started doing the white brushing again. This time I didn't put it on a block texture, I just kept it nice and smooth. I used my blur brush to smooth it out, and I think it ended up much better this time. I didn't want it to be any sort of complicated shading. After adding in a simple background, I exported the image and put it back in on the singular layer. This way I can mess around with some effects. I added a 3D effect, stereoscopic 3D effect, RGB split. I don't know the technical name, okay? It's a 3D effect if you ask me. You know, like when you're watching a 3D film, you don't put those cardboard glasses on. It kind of has this weird look. Yeah, you know what I mean. After messing around with the glitchy effects and realising it was looking awful, I went on a, free website that did it for me. After that, I added a static overlay and there we go, it was done. This last one I chose because I thought it'd just be a nice quick one to do. This character is called Adonis and he's from Mati. This one only took me 12 minutes to do, but it was still so fun and I'm really glad I chose this character. Again, it was another one I saw at random. I don't know, I just saw this thumbnail of literally a stick figure head and I thought that looks like it'll actually be quite fun to do. And then I looked at the reference and I just loved how they did the lighting on it and I was like, yeah, okay, I gotta do this one. So I had the character reference and I also got this reference of a pose. I wanted to do this sort of up-looking pose. I made sure to keep the credits of the pose on the reference there. Make sure to always credit the artist, After struggling over and over to make a circle, moved on to the body, making sure to curve the spine in a way that it looked like the chest was puffing out while the back was curved. Using the reference, I made sure to make the legs a bit longer to get that perspective in there. And once I had the general shape back in, I started putting in some weight in areas. So making the lines thicker around the arms and hands, making the legs thicker so it looks like their size is increasing. Then I started doing a little bit of shading. Didn't need much, I just sort of put a shadow around the edges of him. I then did the same sort of yellowy shading that was on the reference because I loved how that was done. I then added these sparks. That's because I decided that the pose looked like he was grinding. Now, people are probably going to think Sonic, but what I think is Ratchet and Clank. Yeah, that's my childhood game series, and I just did the grind boots. So I added in these sparks to give that illusion. In hindsight, I probably could have done a bit of motion blur, but it's done now. Once that was done, I went on Google and got a simple picture of some crumpled paper. I then added that on as an overlay, and it was done. And that's that. my first 3 Artfight attacks of the year. Just 3 simple characters that were a lot of fun to draw. Goes to show that even simple designs can be amazing. Again, my Artfight profile is in the description. If you want to come attack me, feel free. I am on Team Werewolves this year, but I will do friendly fire. With that being said, that's all for today. If you could like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. You know, do all those good YouTubey things, give me those good vibes. Let the algorithm gods bless me. Anyways, yeah, thanks again guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!